it's Sharon Hujik with Grow Digital Pro, where I help show women how to launch and grow their digital marketing companies so they never have to ask for paid time off again when their kids get sick. And good night, they never have to get paid by the hour. And God forbid, miss dinner with their family because some stupid meeting ran long, right? No, instead, we are here to learn how to be liberated from the ridiculousness that is corporate America. And we are here to earn money so that we can put our own priorities first. And my job and my joy is to show you how to do that. So we're talking about what to do when you hit that roadblock after the enthusiasm of getting started wears off. And I remember about 6-7 years ago, I was at a conference and one of the keynote speakers was Neil Patel. Neil is one of the forerunners of online entrepreneurship. He is a multimillionaire, successful. And someone asked him a question and it really stuck with me. He was asked, what's the hardest part of being an entrepreneur? And he, without missing a beat, said, the roller coaster of the ebb and flow, where you're winning and you're succeeding and you're motivated. And then, just something happens that undermines that. And the person who can be willing to take that ride and not be discouraged when you bottom out, and not only be motivated by the crest of the hill, is the person who is going to be able to succeed. And I think of that as resilience. Resilience is the ability to persevere and to endure even when it's uncomfortable. And I am not a particularly resilient person. Is that fair to say? I have learned over the course of the last decade to recognize what it feels like when things are getting tough and to acknowledge that feeling and to just lay it out there. I'll give you an anecdote that gives you a sense. When I was in middle school, I joined the cross country team. I was a fast runner. I was a good runner. And I thought, hey, I could be really good at this. And my first cross country race, the gun went off and right out of the gates, I was leading the pack. I was hitting the stride. I was moving across the field. And I got about a quarter of a mile into it until I realized, uh-oh, I went out too fast. I went out too hard. I cannot maintain this pace. And, they call it the piano. All of a sudden you're carrying a piano on your back and you're just dying to be able to kind of finish it and persevere through it. My husband, on the other hand, is a remarkable endurance athlete. And when he goes running, he hits the same pace from mile 1 and mile 2 and mile 3. And he's like a machine. He just continues to hit and maintain the same pace. So he doesn't have the same problems with resilience that I do because he doesn't kind of go so big or crash hard. So maybe you're more like me, where the feelings of, just intensity kick in. And I just want to say that's normal. This entrepreneurial roller coaster that we're on is normal. And our brain's chemistry kind of allows us to experience it probably more so when something's really important. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about why that is. As adults, why it's uncomfortable to be learning something new. And if you ever study education, if you've ever read about it or looked to kind of science to understand how people learn things, a child, when they're first encountering something, their brain is just like at a stage where it's really easy to memorize things, right? They're like, what's that, mommy? What's that, mommy? And they name everything. And okay, that's a bridge and that's a building. And this is, Main Street. And this is a bakery. And that's a dry cleaner. And just everything they're encountering, it's new to them. And they're very comfortable with the idea like new information and they just absorb it, right? We all say that's like sponges. And if you're a mom or dad, you're amazed. Oh my gosh, my kid listened to the Mickey Mouse Club's theme song and they know every single word, right? We know how that is. And you're like, he's a genius. I can't believe it. Mom, look. They're good at that stage, but they're not really good at understanding how all the things fit together, right? Like they don't understand, well, Main Street leads to 64 and 64 leads to 95. And, these highway systems, their brains are too not quite ready to understand how all that fits together. In fact, that's like another learning stage where the kind of logic behind connections to things kicks in, normally around like 6th grade, 8th grade, where, maybe 12th grade, I don't know, for some people, like, oh, that's how it connects. That's what it is. And then eventually, as adults, we have learned the ability to communicate big ideas, right? Like, we are better at talking through things, explaining things, because we know the names, we know how they fit together. And now we're looking for more, bigger understanding of what it is. So what happens when, as adults, we go back into something we've never done before? We're almost thrown back into childhood, right? We're also like, wait a second, I don't know what a pixel is. I don't understand what you mean when you say I have to buy a domain name, and I don't get how it connects from here to there, and name servers and funnels and gosh, I don't know what an LLC is. Do I need one? Should I have one? What's the right choice? Like, you're just being inundated with new questions, and you don't even know the basic definitions of what all these words are, right? If you were 7, you wouldn't be flustered by that, because you're like, yeah, I've never heard of that before, but that's normal to me. As an adult, however, we are not used to having to learn new ideas, especially when it's like a whole brand new concept of how things work. Maybe you had a couple reference points, or maybe you've done it before, but in general, a lot of this is new, right? So you're basically being pushed back into a part of your brain that's just not used to it. It's not what you're good at right now. You're better at like understanding and executing and putting things together, and you're kind of being forced back into something that's uncomfortable. And discomfort, when it comes to brain chemistry, if we are uncomfortable, ask yourself, like, what happens when I get scared? Well, most science would say that when somebody gets scared or anxious or uncomfortable, their brain kind of will do a couple different things. You'll either fight, get angry, you'll freeze, or you'll run. And I'm going to guess that that's the temptation that you have right now. You're either getting surly and mad, like, oh, this is so frustrating, I just can't handle it. Why is Facebook doing that? Or how come I can't make this work? And you just have all this emotional pent upness. Or you're frozen, like, oh my gosh, I don't have no clue. And you're like blinkers are on, right? And you can't see anything else because your brain is just overwhelmed by the information. Or you're like, I'm out of here. This is too hard. I do not want to do this. Run away. What the heck was I thinking? I can't pull this off. I don't know which one you're in right now, but you do. Like, you get it. You see what's happening, right? And all of those pieces resolve themselves when you recognize them, when you do a little bit of self-care, maybe some deep breaths, maybe you go outside, maybe you take a shower, maybe you sleep, because your brain is communicating to you, and maybe you haven't been listening to it. Like, I'm uncomfortable. I feel too stretched. I feel too vulnerable. This is really important to me, and I am feeling like I'm not doing it well. This entrepreneurial roller coaster is a very, very real thing. And if you're just getting on the ride, give yourself some grace. I want to talk more about how we can recognize and what we do when our brains are starting to freak out like that. And I want to give you a couple little analogies to help you be like, oh yeah, I've done this before and it's worked out okay. And it's just, again, it's grace. Give yourself grace. This is hard and you can do it. Deep breaths. This is real and you're worth it.